Wow, would you look at these charts? There's a message there telling me, and I cannot wait to show you what we're seeing. Well, tickle my toes and boot my nose. There is a huge potential that we will finally receive some sort of a relief rally tomorrow. We have 4 different things we got to show you on these charts, and guys, they might be pretty exciting. I know we've been pretty bearish in the last few updates. Now, there's so much to consider in the overall global economy, but guys, looking on Bitcoin's chart, this would be the absolute perfect time to receive a bounce going into the next 24 hours. We want to show you on these charts why so many things line up and why the possibilities could really be showing this. For one, we have Bitcoin bouncing off of this legacy structural trend line here, absolutely key. We also have this gap being filled finally, okay guys, we really have to get into detail and talk about this. Okay, we've been talking about this for weeks and now this is filled as well. Absolutely huge. Not to mention, we have this potential inverse and head and shoulders also being fulfilled. Now, if this is actually a real pattern, we have a lot to talk about in regard to that because the implications of that could be huge. And as well, on the Bitcoin weekly chart, it looks as though a very significant hammer candle has been formed here, and we're currently resting right on the 0.786. So with all of that in mind, we have to get into detail and say, well, over the next day or two, we could actually be seeing a huge turnaround in the price. Guys, even if the price of Bitcoin does continue to decline over the next few weeks, we should be receiving a bounce. Period. Okay, so again, we're going to get into detail with that and show you why that just might be the case. So guys, grab your juice, grab your snack, because guess what? Tyler is back. Wow. Wow, what is going on, my tiny men and women? Welcome back to another enthralling episode of Bitcoin Today. We have so much to really get into detail and cover in regards to this. Guys, you know I've been pretty bearish over the last few days, and so far that's actually been correct. We've been seeing a pullback. Now, guys, you already know when there's pumps, there's dumps, and when there's dumps, there's pumps. So is this now the perfect time, within the next 24 hours, probably in tomorrow's daily candle, is this the perfect time to receive a pump? Or if we get a pump here, will that mean that the price actually forms into a very bullish pattern? Or could we as well get a pump and then continue a downtrend? That's what we really want to analyze and look into in today's update. So everyone, thanks so much for joining me here. Before we get into the technical analysis, make sure to drop a comment to be entered for this ledger. And all you have to do is leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the dings, and you'll be entered, guys. We're going to be giving this bad boy away actually very soon, maybe in tomorrow's update or at the end of the week, but definitely very soon. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And guys, make sure to shoot me a follow over on Twitter. Tweeting all day today. Absolutely phenomenal. Wouldn't want you to miss these updates. We have a lot of fun over there. So guys, let's actually start out here on the weekly chart. This is actually very important. So if we take the Fibonacci, and we've talked about this is the Fibonacci we've been using on the weekly chart for a few weeks now. We cut off these wicks here and here, and we just measure by the bodies. Guys, we're actually finding support right now right on the 786. We found a lot of resistance right in that golden pocket, the 0.618 and the 0.65. Now you saw us get pushed down there, but currently we're finding some support actually here. Okay, we've actually just been falling down and down through supports. So is this finally maybe a significant area? But honestly, if this is significant, I don't think we would spend a lot of time here. I think we would really need to push back up to at least the 21-week moving average over the next day or so to keep any sort of bullishness right now, okay? We really would want to get back up here to that $8,500 level, maybe trading here for a few days, but this is key, okay? So you see this here, maybe we really are finding some support right at the 786 right here, you guys. Absolutely crucial to look at that. Now, the second thing, guys, this is absolutely huge. We've been talking about getting a pullback to this as one of our lowest targets for weeks, and we've actually come down here. You can actually see we came right down to the 77 right here and bounced. Now currently, will that bounce continue? Will this current red daily candle that just opened up end up being a pretty nice green candle? We really want to take a look at that. Now guys, the last time that we actually touched and came down to this legacy trend line, we actually did something very similar. We didn't actually come all the way down to it, but we came very close to it right about that 65 back in December of 2019. And you saw what happened, guys. Okay, we came down here and then we had a massive bounce above that. Now, are we in store for another bounce like that now? But if we do want to see any sort of reinforcement over the next few days, we would need to get a bounce soon, okay? As you can see on this chart, just taking a quick glance at this chart, what is one thing that is glaringly obvious? Okay, whenever we have giant red candles, we do have, even in a situation like this, some sort of necessary relief rally, even as this pattern was continuing down and ultimately formed a very bullish pattern. We did have some green immediately, okay, after that pump, or after that dump. Same thing here, dump, immediate pump, okay, guys? So we definitely want to look out for that because we've just been getting battered and beaten for the last 3 days straight, going from 9,200 down to $7,600 range, right? That's $7,700, okay? Almost $2,000. Now we do have to take into account, this is the only reason why I've been a little bit more bearish lately, is because of traditional stocks, okay? Again, I think they'll decouple over time, but without this, if the stock market was basically doing this over the past few days, guys, no doubt in my mind we'd be above 10K right now. Absolutely not. But that does not mean doom and gloom right now because, again, for reasons we're going to go into as we continue this episode, this is not a bad sign at all. We've really sold off so much. And we can take a look. It really looks like we could potentially be setting up for some sort of relief rally right now, even if it's not long lasting. But again, that's 85, 86 would be the lowest that we would have to bounce here and remain bullish. Okay, so if we did get a bounce, at the very least, we would have to touch on the 85 or $8,600 level. And as well, we have finally, as of today, come down to actually touch what could be this inverse head and shoulders that we've been talking about for weeks. Look at this. Okay, you guys can see it here in the purple. Now this is absolutely key. I pretty much say this cup and handle is not something we really want to watch anymore, as it's been absolutely falling as of the last few days. It looks like this was very much so potentially going to be the case there, and you see it absolutely break down from that bear flag. That bear flag you can see here, but we'll get into more detail on that. But guys, yeah, we could see this inverse head and shoulder playing out since the very beginning of September of 2019. So, 5, 6, 7 months in the making, this pattern has really been forming. So now, if we're going to see anything out of that, we should see a bounce soon, even if it is temporary, and then climb up along this, and we could ultimately end up retesting this, guys. But it's so heavily dependent on so many things right now. But for right now, we're seeing a bounce at a very important level that we just talked about on those other charts, but then again as well here, okay? So potentially a very bullish pattern being formed on this time frame and on this chart here. Even though it looks very bearish, we could see this very bullish pattern being formed out of it. And as well, guys, so important to note, we have filled this gap down at the 77. You can see we've actually filled it this time. You can see this here. We completely filled the entire thing. This gap no longer exists. So it should be very interesting to see if we have the momentum to push up over the next few days, going into the middle of this month. And guys, as you can see here, we talked about this on Bitrex's chart, this very odd anomaly here, this very long wick. As we talked about in yesterday's video, this was not the end of it. We ended up coming down, about $500 more. Currently, we're getting a little bit of a bounce though, but again, the key question on everyone's minds, will tomorrow bring a bounce? Will tomorrow, or even the next day, we can give it maybe 48 hours, but will we see a nice relief rally? Even as the stock markets were getting hammered last week, there were some green days. Okay, basically the middle of the week. Now we had a horrible, horrible day today. If we do get maybe even a temporary another bounce in that market, maybe even not, we might not even have to factor that in. But again, we do need to see a bounce with Bitcoin here to remain relatively healthy. Now I find this rather interesting as well. People are calling this pennant here, this triangle. And if this is in fact a triangle here, then we've basically just touched on the bottom of it for the third time. All right, the first time was back in December of 2018 as we were setting those $3,000, $4,000 lows. And then again back in the end of 2019, so literally a year later, December 2018, December 2019, and now again here, in the beginning of March 2020. So if this pattern is to remain true at all, we definitely need to see a bounce here somewhat soon because we're already at the bottom of this, okay, guys? Now this, maybe the next time we come up to here, and again, this would play in perfectly with the inverse head and shoulders. That could be absolute blast-off zone, but we really need to wait and see. I have no doubt in my mind that if the regular economy was just normal right now, we would 100% be leaning towards that as a major blast-off. But yeah, we definitely have to wait and see for that. And guys, something I find really interesting as well, with the halving coming up so close to now, okay, this right here, the halving, which I actually think is a little bit sooner than this right now. It actually has been adjusted. It's going to be a little bit sooner. So only a little longer than a month away, I believe. Because of how strong of a downturn we've had going into this, will there be an equal and opposite reaction to the upside going into this halving like we've seen in the past, okay? Again, all of this still is relatively normal going into the halvings, but again, going into and then shortly after the halvings, we always do see pumps, so that's very important to keep an eye on. So guys, let me know what you think. Really excited to see what goes on with that. And as well, again, thanks everyone so much for buying the course, guys. Another update, huge update coming soon. We've been hearing great things about it, and I would love to hear from you as well if you have purchased it. Remember, once you buy it once, you have it for life, and we're going to continuously update this bad boy. And again, for a limited time still, we are still doing 50% off with code GUGERT. So guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.